Bad news travels fast, but panic does not reach Roland. While his minister trembles, the prince leans back, feigning laziness. Behind his calm eyes, a cold calculation begins on the chessboard of power. Dropping the facade, Roland issues commands with absolute authority. Evacuate the families, hoard the iron. The minister is bewildered, unaware that Roland is fortifying their future against the coming storm. As snow falls, Roland smiles coldly. Chaos is a ladder. He anticipates his enemy's greed, planning to turn the harsh winter and their ambition into a trap of his own making. Patience runs thin. Roland's ambition bears its fangs. Why recruit when you can conquer? He sets his sights on annexing Longsong's stronghold, a ruthless plan that leaves his minister gasping in shock. Meanwhile, in the freezing, impassable mountain range, a lone figure struggles against the biting wind. Every step crunches loudly in the snow, pushing forward into the unknown darkness. Reaching the cave, the figure lowers her hood to reveal golden locks. It's Nightingale. Her voice cuts through the blizzard, weary yet resolute. Leaf, it's me. Joy turns instantly to sorrow. Nightingale lowers her head, delivering the heavy news. 2 more sisters lost to the day of awakening. The shadow of death continues to haunt them. Suppressing her grief, Nightingale enters the camp. Bathed in the warm glow of the fire, Wendy waits. A simple welcome home melts the ice in Nightingale's heart. They embrace desperately. Nightingale tries to reject her past self, Veronica, but Wendy accepts her wholly. Names may change, but their bond remains unbreakable. Wendy fears the worst for Anna, but Nightingale's eyes shine with new hope. Anna didn't need saving. Instead, she holds the power to save them all. Nightingale addresses the coven, proclaiming Roland's promise. A prince who protects witches and defies the church. It sounds like a dream too good to be true. The power is ours, not the demons. Nightingale stakes her reputation on it, using her ability to detect lies to instill this belief in every trembling soul. Just as hope ignites, a stern enough shatters the mood. Minter Kara steps from the shadows, her icy tone freezing the air and suppressing the rising excitement. Back in the capital, the new King Timothy stands in his grand palace. He coldly confirms the power of the God Stone, as the scent of conspiracy mingles with the shift of power. To hide his patricide, Timothy ruthlessly frames the witches. He orders a citywide hunt, masking his brutality as justice, condemning countless innocents to slaughter. The blue stone hovers, dripping a deadly liquid. Timothy gazes at it without a shred of mercy, his eyes filled only with greed for control and cold, murderous intent. Back in the cave, Nightingale reaches her breaking point. Magic flares around her as she screams, "Enough!" A declaration of war against Kara and the oppression she represents. Kara spreads her arms, fanatically preaching that suffering is a test. She twists their misery into divine trial, a suffocating manipulation meant to chain their minds. What is the point of this test? Nightingale laughs bitterly, rising with awakened fury. She sees through the lies and resolves to lead those who will follow, breaking free from this rotting cage. With a cold farewell to her past, she unleashes her power. Blue-violet energy erupts into a massive, serpentine form, a declaration of her independence. In the gloom, her icy violet eyes meet her former mentor. Facing the scorn of failed expectations, she looks up, suppressing the frustration and shock of rejection. The argument echoes through the chamber. Accused of betraying her sisters, Kara retorts in anguish. Her sacrifices were solely to ensure they had food and clothing, no matter the misunderstanding. The last hope is ruthlessly trampled. The mentor tosses the blueprints into the fire, dismissing them as lifeless cold iron. Kara watches in horror as flames devour the spark of civilization. A burning iron rod presses against her throat, death looming close. Yet, faced with the demand to plead guilty, her eyes hold no fear, only steely resolve, a powerful which yields to no one. Cutting back to that fateful night, facing the mentor's thunderous rage, Wendy steps forward. A sharp "hold it" pierces the heavy air, attempting to halt the impending atrocity. Firelight flickers on grave faces. The debate over freedom of choice thickens the air. Wendy watches the departing figure through tears, her heart torn between organizational discipline and sisterhood. Fear finally crushes reason. The mentor roars hysterically. To prevent the camp's exposure, a ruthless glint flashes in her eyes. Sensing murderous intent, Wendy screams in despair, "Don't!" Before the words fade, conflict erupts. Hesitating no longer, Wendy unleashes a golden blade of energy. To protect her companion, she must turn her weapon against her former leader. A massive vortex of green energy descends, locking onto its target with destructive intent. Wendy grits her teeth, defending desperately in the nick of time. Now, it is a fight to the death. Traitor! With a furious curse, magic manifests into a ferocious blue beast, baring its fangs and slamming into Wendy. Unable to dodge, she cries out in agony. Meanwhile, purple binding seals entrap Nightingale. The mentor twists her face, declaring her execution, yet within those blue eyes, an unyielding fighting spirit still burns. Amidst the chaos, the wounded pair seize a gap and flee into the darkness. Watching them vanish, the mentor roars with heart-tearing fury. Go kill that traitor. The hunt is on, relentless and deadly. On the windswept, snowy cliff, fleeing footsteps grow heavy. More terrifying than the pursuers is the purple stain spreading on Wendy's arm. Kara's snake poison, slowly devouring her life. No time to hesitate. Nightingale draws her dagger, a ruthless resolve in her eyes. To buy Wendy a glimmer of hope, she must endure excruciating pain and take extreme measures to slow the poison. When he won't make it back to Border Town, despair spreads like the ice around them. Just as hope fades, a stranger's voice suddenly cuts through the wind and snow. Do you need help? The storm rages on, yet the mysterious figure stands still, appearing like a twist of fate, casting a glimmer of unknown hope upon the freezing snowfields. A blond youth floating in midair breaks the standoff. Looking down at the guarded Nightingale with a relaxed smile, he raises his hands. Don't worry, I'm not looking for a fight. Who are you? Facing Nightingale's interrogation, the youth blinks and reveals a striking name. Lightning. At this critical moment, is her arrival that of a friend or a foe? Under the swirling snow, the blonde girl spins around, eyes burning with a hunger for the unknown. Rejecting safety, she shouts her resolve to her stunned companions. The legendary black steam machines and thunderous powder are the very adventures she has been dreaming of. Faced with questions about her path as an explorer, she pushes back without hesitation. To her, Kara's obsession with ancient texts is a cage. Finding the holy mountain is true freedom. Sparks of ideological conflict fly in the freezing night air. A move like the wind, she boasts, attempting to carry her companion. But gravity has other plans. Moments later, crushed by reality, she ends up being the one carried, her earlier swagger dissolving into shivering embarrassment. Meanwhile, when he cuts through the blizzard, carrying the wounded, during the long flight, Nightingale finally opens up to Lightning, unearthing buried memories, tales of Silver City, and the nightmare that began when her parents vanished at 14. The floodgates of memory swing open. The scene shifts to a deceptively warm past, the moment she and her brother were taken in by their uncle after her awakening. Beneath the blurry family portrait lies a fate on the verge of shattering. It was a living hell. Under her uncle's twisted tutelage, she was forged into a weapon. But the deepest cut wasn't the violence. It was her brother's rejection. After staining her hands with blood to save him, his curse pierced her heart. Witches deserve hell. Finally, she slew the monster and broke her chains. Standing alone in the vast, snowy wasteland, dragging a bloodied sword, she felt utterly lost. Until a figure appeared. Wendy, the single ray of light in her absolute despair. Wendy's smile was a fire that thawed her frozen heart. She joined the Cooperation Association, believing she found a home. But Kara's growing fanaticism cast a shadow, turning their promised sanctuary into yet another suffocating cage. Back in the freezing present, Nightingale stares at the bleak crescent moon, her heart heavy with a cold realization. Kara has gone mad. The promised utopia has crumbled, leaving only fear and looming shadows. In a world of suspicion, who would believe in a prince who cares for witches? Tears well up in Nightingale's eyes, the loneliness of the forsaken. Yet, Wendy's steadfast whisper from the past, I believe him, remains her only gamble. Meanwhile, in the snows of Border Town, Lightning lets out a loud sneeze. Standing alone before a cabin in the biting wind, her arrival signals a sudden disruption about to shatter the peace. Inside, Prince Roland sneezes too, wondering who's thinking of him. Suddenly, a chaotic figure crashes into him from the snow with a scream. The peaceful warmth is instantly thrown into disarray. As the dust settles, Nightingale is revealed. But shock turns to horror. She cradles a frail Wendy. Seeing the severed arm, Nightingale screams desperately for Nana the healer. The air instantly thickens with life or death urgency. Night deepens. Roland stands by the window, brow furrowed. Only 3 escaped? Demonic beasts? He forces calm, his engineer's mind taking over. With Nana here, combining modern knowledge and magic, he knows Wendy can be saved. A small blonde head peeks around the door. Lightning shyly checks on the situation. Seeing the prince who cares in the flesh, she finally drops her guard, admitting her past doubts. Trust begins to quietly take root. But when Lightning reveals the truth, Roland is stunned. It wasn't beasts, it was Kara, their own mentor, who crushed Wendy's arm. Hearing of this betrayal, Roland's gaze darkens, a silent fury rising within him. Suddenly, Nightingale appears silently at the door, her expression complex as she watches over Wendy. Her unexpected presence shifts the room's atmosphere instantly, freezing the air in a moment of awkward tension. Roland tries to urge her to rest, but she ignores him, eyes burning with resolve. She slowly kneels before the mortal prince. The solemn weight of her presence tells Roland that something momentous is about to happen. Under the witness of stars, Nightingale clutches her blade and takes a solemn oath. Betrayed by the association, she casts her final hope on Roland. As long as you are kind to witches, I will be your sword in the night, until my last breath. Fingertips touch across a divide of ideals, but a blade against the throat dictates reality. She looks up in submission, yet the starlight in her eyes remains undimmed. The past name Veronica is dead. Now, Nightingale is reborn in the candlelight, pledging absolute loyalty, while a new contract awaits Wendy's decision. Wendy lowers her head, her purple eyes filled with struggle. As the sands of time run out, the pressure of survival forces her to face this heavy contract. A sharp light flashes in Roland's eyes, as if seizing destiny by the throat. He announces a way to end the witches' suffering, leaving shock spreading across their faces. Meanwhile, in the snowy borderlands, Roland reveals a startling theory. Magic is not a curse, but like liquid in a container. If not released, it destroys the vessel. Memories surface as the truth becomes clear. By continuously draining magic, the dreaded day of awakening might no longer be a death sentence. This is your holy mountain, Roland promises amidst the snow. Lightning eagerly steps forward, ready to showcase her power in this land of freedom. Winnie hesitates no more, summoning a green storm over the snowy plains. Meanwhile, lightning tears through the sky, finally unleashing their suppressed talents. Anna smiles with relief as their numbers grow. But a keen observer notices something else, a subtle, unusual affection in Nightingale's gaze toward the prince. Teasing words hang in the air when a piercing alarm tears through the silence. It is the signal from hell. The demonic beasts are attacking. The world turns into a bleak white void. 2 figures march against the blizzard toward the towering, icy wall, moving to meet their unknown fate. No army is visible from the ramparts. Carter, eyes wide with rage, grabs Agar by the collar, demanding to know if this is another ridiculous false alarm. Iron Axe's pupils constrict violently, cold sweat soaking his back. A nightmare returns, not a common beast, but the hybrid that nearly took his life. Clouds churn as the beast's hideous form breaks through the sky. Soldiers instantly raise their guns, sworn to protect the prince from the monster's claws. The monster hovers, its fury silhouetted against purple nebulas. In a moment of shock, the command "Fire" shatters the standoff, and the shadow of death descends. With a deafening roar, the demonic beast spreads its wings. Like a black meteor, it dives with destructive force, crashing straight into the defense line. The violent impact shakes the wall. Iron Axe realizes with horror that the beast possesses intelligence. It bypassed the defenses to strike the defenseless residential area. In the nick of time, the commander doesn't hesitate. Roaring orders through the blizzard, he leads his troops in a desperate charge toward the breach. Roland sprints through the snow, the cold wind cutting like a knife. He realizes he's not facing a beast, but a cunning hunter. A deadly race of wits has begun. The silence of the snowy street is shattered by a terrified scream. The blue-haired man points ahead, cold sweat instantly beating on his forehead. The truth is nauseating. That isn't a beast scraps, but a former neighbor. By the time the warning comes, the scent of blood has already filled the freezing air. A massive wolf lunges from the shadows, its claws tearing through the defense. As panic spreads, a sharp command tries to steady the crumbling squad. Aiming is impossible in the melee. Iron Axe makes a split-second decision, ordering everyone to the rooftops to restore order amidst the chaos. The battle shifts to the rooftops, but the beast is far more terrifying than imagined. Jaws wide, it unleashes a devastating beam of energy that pierces the night. Though surrounded, the beast's eyes burn with a golden light, signaling that a far more violent attack is brewing. Old grudges ignite in a narrow confrontation. With a roar of vengeance, they collide amidst the blizzard, the impact shaking the very roof beneath them. Meanwhile, the Hermes' defense line faces total annihilation. A massive green monstrosity scales the walls, casting a terrifying shadow over the trembling defenders. Desperate cries for help are drowned out by the crash. The fortified wall crumbles like paper under the beast's assault, the pressure of death suffocating everyone. The line breaks. The beast carries a legion of demons within its maw. The light in the soldiers' eyes fades, replaced by the despair of the apocalypse. Yet amidst the rout, some stand firm. For the holy city, rage overrides fear in the warriors' eyes, vowing to shed the last drop of blood. Orders to retreat clash with vows of death. In the blizzard at the north gate, some choose to flee, while others choose to become an immortal line of defense. The outer city is lost. Just as the remnants gasp for breath, a massive shadow sweeping across the sky shatters their last shred of hope. Facing death from above, the commander issues the final order. Swallowing the secret pills, they decide to burn their lives for a fleeting moment of divine power. The drug takes effect. Soldiers turn into berserkers charging the enemy. Suddenly, the ground rumbles. The legendary god's punishment warriors have finally arrived. Black and gold armor radiates a cold dominance in the blizzard. Facing the tide of hybrid beasts, this single figure stands as an army of one. No flourishes, only ultimate power and speed. As the spear swings, the air tears apart, leaving the beasts helpless against the strike. Even the aerial dominance of the demon bird is instantly intercepted. The god's punishment warrior moves with speed beyond human limits, leaving onlookers stunned. The battle ends in a flash. Far away, atop the towering spire, cold eyes watch the slaughter, as if everything is proceeding exactly as planned. Through the lens of a telescope amidst the blizzard, the gaze settles on cold bodies atop the roof. This is the aftermath of the church's so-called victory. In the rainy night, the three archbishops assess the outcome. Though the four kingdoms' defenses are shattered, the Judgment Army paid a heavy price. Bishop Taifon's expression is grave, his eyes burning with alarming fanaticism. To fight the beasts foretold in the Holy Book, he believes the continent must be united at any cost. Bishop Heather speaks shocking blasphemy, questioning God's nature and suggesting demons might be kinder. Bishop Maine is left horrified by such unorthodox words. The argument is coldly ended by Taifon. In this cruel world, God cares not for the means, but only the end. God only loves those who win. Back in Border Town, a unique funeral takes place in the snow. Breaking noble tradition, Roland personally presides over the memorial for the fallen soldier, Ollie. Watching the prince wield a shovel to dig the grave himself, Knight Carter is in disbelief. Old glories and class lines are overturned by Roland's actions. Roland calmly explains that soldiers were once just buried in shallow graves. He intends to change not just the system, but the respect for life, leaving Carter deep in thought. The funeral is not just for remembrance, but to forge the army's spirit. Standing in the snow, Roland vows to give this army his soul, no matter the difficulty. Whispers spread through the crowd as they realize Ali's widow received not just his salary, but huge pension. Roland's promise has actually been kept. This unprecedented treatment even makes Soldier Vanner absurdly jealous of the dead. In these cold, chaotic times, Roland has given them real security. After grief comes urgent preparation. Roland finds Anna and reveals blueprints, knowing the only way to reduce casualties is through stronger weapons. It's a sketch for a 12-pound field cannon. Despite the complex industrial specs, Anna's trust in Roland leads her to accept the task without hesitation. Molten steel is poured with precision under Anna's magic. Every pore tests her stamina, but her gaze remains focused, allowing for no errors. Seeing Anna drenched in sweat, Roland tenderly wipes her brow. Carter witnesses this gentle moment, sensing emotions that go far beyond prince and subject. However, this scene is also spied from the shadows. A spy is terrified, the prince openly caring for a witch. He must report this scandal immediately. Meanwhile, brutal winter training continues. Soldiers run through the snow, exhausted but daring not to stop, knowing it's the only way to survive the beast waves. The lurking spy watches in fear. Walls built overnight, iron tubes killing beasts. He is convinced Roland is using demonic powers. Just as he tries to flee, a shout pierces the night. Vigilant citizens instantly surround him. Against Roland's people's war, no spy can hide. Bearov rubs his aching temples, struggling with the prince's absurd demand for ships without sailors. Suddenly, Roland enters, his expression grim. Another rat has been caught. This spy was an assassin sent by the new king, hiding behind the stolen identity of a murdered local. With the evidence laid bare, Bearov's exhaustion turns to cold resolve. Interrogate him, then hang him. That's the fourth one. Bearov worries, but Roland has a countermove. Why rely only on guards? A high bounty will turn every resident into a sentry, dragging the spies out of the shadows. Meanwhile, in the gloomy halls of Grey Castle, the usurper King Timothy sits high on his throne. He sneers at Roland's letter, seeing right through the excuse of protecting the people as a delaying tactic. He addresses you as Highness, not Majesty. Timothy dismisses the insult with arrogance, but his indifference shatters the moment he hears the fifth princess has vanished, his voice rising in sudden rage. Find her at once. Timothy's eyes burn with paranoia. He cannot tolerate royal blood mixing with commoners. But before his rage settles, the minister nervously brings up an even greater threat. The third princess, Garcia. If she won't obey, crush her. Timothy coldly orders an army to Clearwater, but his decree is cut short as a guard bursts into the hall, breathless with urgent news from the south. What? The news strikes like a thunderclap. Garcia hasn't just disobeyed. She has crowned herself queen, and the entire South has declared independence. Half the kingdom has fallen away.